Yo YouTube, Cobellian Cancer here with week 7 Pool B of the LLL, the Ubers UU Draft League. And like last video, we are going to start off right away by looking at the standing. It's week 7, like I said. It's very tight, 2 weeks left, still a lot of things that can happen. And again, in this league, it's nothing different than the previous video. We're gonna take a look and let you guys see there are 4 players that, in my opinion, and statistically, are safe. Mozo, Butter, Wi-Fi, and Kine are safe right now. And there are still a lot of players that can reach playoffs, but are not certain of a playoff spot. All players except Swords Board, the player that, retired, they are still in the running for playoffs. So we're gonna take a look at the matches of this week. It's Mozo versus Wi-Fi, not important in the grand scheme. Butter versus Crayons. Crayons a player that still needs 1 win to make playoffs for certain. So it is very interesting going up against a very big player right now. Kine going up against Dumpy. Dumpy really has to win again, while Kine is kind of chilling. He's kind of there. Still comfortable if you want to pick up a win, otherwise you can go up against a big seed. So I can see Kine just being a regular player in this week in the sense of doing it for reals. And Dino versus Avalok, 2 players that are on the brink of playoffs, barely on and barely off playoffs right now. So it's very interesting to see what's going on in that match. So without further ado, we're gonna look at those 4 matches right now. First off, it's Wi-Fi versus Mozo Knight, and I don't know if it was an exposition match of both players that they told each other like, oh, we're gonna play casually this game, because I've seen so many cool matches this week, but these sets were so fire. I think that they were the most fire sets of the entire league. Bro, there were so many cool sets and interesting sets, like I said. And it just felt like they were flexing on their creative muscles against the other players. A very cool match to see. A match that I did feel like very early on Mozo had under control. But like I said, the sets alone in this match were interesting. Especially this exchange, the Cosmic Power versus the Roar Moltres. That's fire. That's absolute heat. I don't know how effective it is, but it was very cool to see. And it was a 4-0 win for Mozo, but I don't know if these players played to the best of their abilities, in the sense of, I think there are more effective sets that they could have brought, but it was still a very entertainable match to see. So yeah, that's a 4-0 win for Mozo. And especially shout out to the Ladio set that almost cleaned house, bro. The rest as well. Oh, the rest as well. Interesting match. Now we're taking a look at Butter versus Crayons. A lot of the line for Crayons, but dude, Butter played so well this week. And Skuntank, that's your best performance of the entire league thus far, bro. Yeah, you died first turn a lot sometimes as well, but this week he was so important. And Butter really showing the rest why he's one of the top dogs. Crayons, I felt like he tried to get back in the game every time, but having that Lando in the back with the crunch, very interesting bring, but very effective bring at that. Yeah, I don't feel like Butter really had a sense of fear in the slightest. They were so on top. That's nothing to discredit the Crayons. And Crayons can still make it next week, but this week, nah, Butter was not having it. And that is a very dominant 3-0 win for Butter. And we are going to take a look at Kine versus Dumpy now. Oh, what a match. I can say so many things about this match. First of all, Umbreon is proving me time and time again how good of a mon it is. This match as well, just Terra Poison Umbreon was just what Kine needed. A very, very good bring. Another thing that I could note, and I kind of don't want to mention it, but it has to be mentioned, are of course the misses. Yeah, it kind of sucked. Dumpy's luck was not the greatest at the tail end of the game, especially missing high horsepower on the Iron Moth. I don't know if that meant that the match was gonna end in a very different fashion. I still feel like Kine was the best player of the 2 throughout the match. But yeah, things could have gone so much better for Dumpy if there was just a matter of accuracy and luck. Dumpy, you kind of have to rely on luck next week, I think. I think you have to pray to the Hex Gods that they're gonna be gracious on you. Otherwise, you just have to outplay your opponent every single time, because, oof, this high horsepower miss was so... yikes. Again, I don't know if that was a turning point in total. Like, I don't know how it would have ended. But I kind of feel like Dumpy kind of lost that match there. So, yikes. A very painful loss for Dumpy. And it ended in a 3-0 win for Kine. Now we are heading to the fourth and final match that I can show to you guys today. It's Dino versus Avalok. Dino, you've been featured a lot in these matches of the week, but you managed to get yourself in interesting positions. Like I said, this time 2 players that can still make playoffs, but could be that one of these players cannot make playoffs right now. So very interesting to see them go up against each other. We're gonna take a look at the teams.
Dino with the Cyclozar, Zamazenta Crown, Espathra, Roaring Moon, Entei, Torterra, Clowitzer, Mescurain, Enamoris, Gibble, and Colossal versus Avalok with the Dragapult, King Gambit, Hattering, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Sableye, Raging Bolt, Bronzong, Ronin Wash, Talonflame, Knucklestack, and Glimmet.
Dude, just gonna throw it out right away. Dino has such a good matchup. If it wasn't for the Infiltrator Dragapult. Infiltrator Dragapult goes stupid. It goes stupid this game. I fully expect this match to be centered around that Dragapult and kind of relying on it not being status, for example, it not getting stuck on a sticky web if Dino decides to bring it. Because Specs, Dragapult, or Life Orb Dragapult or something like that really pressures Dino's team a lot. So I feel like something like a Scarf, an Amoris is a must bring. I feel like you kind of have to hope that the subsets that the subs that Cyclozar can pass kind of can go up against Dragapult. So, for example, something with a speed boosting move like a sub into a Roaring Moon with a D-Dance, with a Haban Berry, something like that. But yeah, in general, I feel like Dragapult is gonna rule this week. The Ursaluna Blood Moon does not have the worst matchup. Of course, Torterra and Clowitzer are there, but I feel like it's a very solid option. So something like a Hattering with a Healing Wish into Dragapult, into Ursaluna Blood Moon. That's why I'm leaning slightly more so towards Avalok. The subs, of course, are still very scary. I feel like a Zamazenta is going to be brought this week. I feel like a Torterra is going to be brought this week. And an Enamoris is going to be brought this week. Perhaps an Entei. Entei is a very sleeper mon this week. Something like just a Bandit mon, not really caring that much about speed. Just Bandit throwing itself out there could be very interesting as well. These players have to perform this week. They kind of have to perform if they want to go with the playoffs. Both players at 2 wins. It's very tricky for them, so let's just hope it ends in a fair and good match. And with that being said, I'm going to take a look at the... Yeah, we're gonna take a look at it. But the Dragapult that I was hyping up is not even brought. So I don't know what Avalok's angle is this game. But it's not going to be based around Infiltrator Dragapult, that's for sure. Entei is going to start off versus the Talonflame. Talonflame getting momentum, but something is going to take an eruption. Very interesting ring, something I did not expect. It's a wild pick, and it does not work out that greatly. Rotom getting a revenge kill, but it's a very interesting start of a match. D-Dance on a Roaring Moon. Yeah, Encore does not work on the Dark types. This is just going to wreak havoc, isn't it? Dazzling Game with a crit, still not enough to kill Roaring Moon, but there's a hole being punched through Avalok's team. There's not a Gale Wings Talonflame, unfortunately. Roaring Moon getting kill after kill after kill, but getting picked up by a Vacuum Wave. Hey, that's 2 games of the week with a Vacuum Wave in a row. Clowitzer getting his first kill of the league. Congratulations, my dude. Hattering, don't know how well it fares against it. It's sort of here to serve a purpose and the Trick Room. That's what I'm gonna say. Clowitzer is going to get the better of this Hattering. But, you know, Hattering did its thing. It set up the Trick Room, and I feel like at this point, Ursaluna Blood Moon is just going to wreak havoc. That's that crawfish. Who wants to come in? Who wants to tank the hit? Torterra does not want to tank a hit, but apparently It does. It just barely hangs in there with a very interesting amnesia. Is it amnesia with synthesis? I don't know. And it turns out to be synthesis. That's reliable recovery right there. And this match just ends up being way longer than I expected. It's a stall fest between Torterra and Bronzong. Bronzong with the Ice Spinner, not able to be the very big threat versus Torterra. So it's essentially just hoping that you're crit through the double dance Torterra, revealing the curse as well, of course. And just a minor spoiler, I'm gonna sit here and talk over it.
It does not end up very greatly for Evelok. It's Torterra getting the wins right here, and it's a 3-0 win for Gibble at that. Bro, very interesting match, and especially I was a little bit dumbfounded when I found out Dragapult was not being brought, because even looking at the sets that Gibble brought, that was not a Haban Berry Roaring Moon. Don't know what that Enamorous was, but it could still be Scarf, I think. Not the big threat Entei that I expected it to be. So I feel like Specs, or LO Dragapult was just able to clean out here. And sometimes it's just, Evelok probably has a reason for not bringing it, but that's very interesting how every player can look at a draft differently, and look at a matchup differently. Perhaps I'm one of the few that thought Dragapult had a good matchup, and perhaps Evelok was one of the few that didn't think he had a good matchup. Every player sees something different in a matchup, in a team, and that's just really tricky to deal with. Torterra revealing the C-bomb here, by the way, in the background, so that's why it's stalling it out. It's not uncompetitive, it's just something it has to do. It cannot damage it otherwise, so that's why it took so long.
So a very interesting turnout of this match. I was just a little dumbfounded by the sets and not seeing a Dragapult right there. But yeah, interesting matchup nonetheless, and a very well played endgame from Dino. I've gotta respect that. That's a grind right there. And Dino moving up 3 and 4, very interesting. If he wants to make playoffs, it has to be next week. But you know, it does faith. It does give faith going into next week with a win under the belt. And with all that talking out of the way, I'm gonna take a look at the standings right now. Not a lot has changed. There's still 4 players that are currently in playoffs. No other player is confirmed players right now. There is no other player that is out players right now. Yeah, kind of interesting. Evelok really made it difficult for himself. He has to win next week, and he has to hope that there's not another player with a win in the... So Raposi and Dumpy Lump cannot win, and the other players he cannot bypass because of the differential. So it's very interesting. Kind of feel like Evelok is already out, but for the rest, things are still kind of up in the air. Very interesting way that things are going right now. But with that all behind us, we have to take a look at the Mon of the Week. And, dude, I kind of just want to... You know, fuck it. I'm just gonna make Mon of the Week the entire match between Mozo and Wi-Fi, because there were so many cool sets in this week. Bro, did Latios? I think Latios is the most interesting bring, but I gotta give a shout out to Cosmic Power Deoxys. Very interesting bring as well. I gotta give a shout out to that Patcheron breaking early game. Once again, Patcheron proving itself week after week. So many cool sets in this week, so kind of leaning toward Latios, but I just want to nominate this entire match because of very interesting sets. And that's kind of it. Next week, very high stakes. Still a lot of players that can reach playoffs. Still a lot of things that can happen. So Butter and I are going to take a look at it next week. And with that out of the way, I'm going to wish you guys a very merry good day. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.